Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Well, gentlemen, massive congratulations are in order because some team OG that's affiliated with the school that you went to, and Doug, where a son of yours went, just won the national championship.
More importantly, where giant bags of money of mine went.
Does that help you recoup some of it? Like a little feeling of joy that goes
Absolutely.
against the money?
Yeah. When Dusty May showed up, the basketball program had about $500K in NIL money. And in a year, he had $10 million to buy this team. I feel like part of my bags of money went to buy the team. So Yaxel, you owe me, man.
I do think, OG, we should turn this into a university now so we get some of that sweet NIL money.
I could have told you that Michigan was going to win because it also potentially cost me money because when they won the national championship in football, my kid was a senior and it was like, oh, or he's a junior. And he's like, oh, I'm definitely applying to Michigan now.
Out of state school.
And, and so now William is a junior and he's like, actually, you know what?
Oh, no.
That does look like a cool place to go. Look at how cool that was at Chrysler, Dad. Like they were just really like, I could get behind that.
So that $150 admission application fee or however much it costs to apply, that's part of your contribution?
Yeah, that's not the big worry. The big worry isn't the $50.
Oh,
the big worry is the
$50.
$75,000 on the back end of them saying yes to the $50. So
something I could say yes to besides once in my lifetime saying go blue. Oh God. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah.
But it was great. It was great. And as a guy who
it was a terrible basketball game though. I felt it's really kind of lumpy and chunky.
It was
and
messy.
A lot of fouls.
And every time that UConn would get something started, man, Dusty May and company, to their credit, Michigan would just shut it down every time.
But it was just frantic the whole time, like our show.
Yes. And you know, like somebody else, OG, the men and women serving in our military who are working their butts off right now, double time, triple time. I hope some of them got to watch the national championship game if they like sports. So I think while we salute the big blue in Ann Arbor, we also have to salute the men and women who are serving our country right now. Thank you so much for all you do, for the overtime you're working right now, for all the hard work you're doing. On behalf of the men and women at Mom's Basement Bacon Podcast and the men and women around the world who you're protecting, here's to you.
Hoorah.
Thanks, everybody.
Let's go stack some Benjamins now.
What a filthy job. Could be worse. How? Could be raining.
Live from Joe's mom's basement, it's the Stacking Benjamin Show. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and are you worried about inflation, geopolitical risks, or rising oil prices, and how any of those could wreck your portfolio? Today, we're going to help you steer your ship through treacherous waters and trying times. Plus, OG and Anna will tackle another basic idea in financial planning, and of course, I'll swoop in just in time with maybe your favorite trivia question of all time. And like 1,000% without any hyperbole. And now, two guys who put the fun in financial talk. See what I did there? It's Joe and OG.
Hey there, Stackers, and happy Monday to you. We're going to talk investing all day today. So get your investing hat on, Stackers, because we are bringing it. Maybe get out all of your investing pie charts. Think about how you set up your investments, because today we are going to assuage some of your investing concerns and help you make a better portfolio. So assuage.
Did you do that just to bait me?
I did. I have to admit I did.
I feel like this is a theme now. People are talking about it in the basement.
But that was good because I got OG a little bit too. Like, huh, what?
Yeah, I saw it cock his head.
Both your heads turned sideways across the card
Did
table.
he say? He said it.
How are you guys doing? What's going on, OG?
Oh, what's not going on? Busy week last week. Fun day this week for everybody who's paying attention. Wednesday, circle that day. That's a sporty, exciting day in the history of mankind. We're all really excited about my brother's birthday coming up.
On Wednesday, that's the big news coming up. On Wednesday is your brother's birthday?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, he's 2 years younger than me. Let's see, how old is Justin going to be? Justin is going to be 46 years old. So 46 this year, big birthday for him. Celebrate every year the same way I do. I donate a large chunk of my personal net worth to the
U.S. government,
to the federal government. So
happy birthday, Justin! Here's a check in your honor.
Every year, I send him a card and I go, "A donation was made in your honor."
Do you put that in the memo section of your IRS check?
Yeah,
Justin's birthday.
Justin's birthday. So. Yeah. Everybody wish Justin a happy birthday next Wednesday, or 2 days rather. But that's what's good. And then we're on the other side of that. Then we don't have to think about that crap for another 364 days.
Yeah, exciting day coming up on Wednesday, I think, for a lot of Americans, for those people outside the U.S. It is tax filing day. But you know what's taxing, OG, is the amount people worry. And you know this more than others because of what you do. A lot of people worry about geopolitical risk and what to do. And we're going to talk about that today. We've had a stock market that is, it always bounces around, but it's been a little bouncier lately. And partly because people wonder, what should I do with my money? This episode is brought to you by the letter I for investing today. Also brought to you by The Vault. Now, coming soon, The Vault is going to be a great place to track your net worth and track your budget. StackyBenjamins.com/vault. We also have a couple sponsors who help us keep on keeping on. We're going to hear from them. And then OG, Doug, and I, we're going to tackle geopolitical risk and your money. Well, there's nothing that relieves stress more when you have had a long day, you are completely fried, and you're thinking to yourself, maybe I'll just go out to dinner. But then you think about all those calories, all that money out of your wallet. And then you realize that you can eat healthy because you found Factor. Factor is ready in 2 minutes. Factor shops, preps, cooks, and delivers straight to your door. So you have more time for everything you love this spring. And you don't have to worry about eating healthy and going outside your budget because you've got the food sitting there in the fridge that you had pre-planned. What is Factor? Well, Factor has meals built around your goals, whether that's weight loss, overall nutrition, more protein, or GLP-1 support for strength and workout recovery. Check out Factor's Muscle Pro collection. Every meal's crafted with functional ingredients, lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole foods, and healthy fats. Factor bans 175 plus ingredients. No artificial colors or sweeteners, no high fructose corn syrup, no refined seed oils, just nutrient-dense foods. It's fresh, never frozen, over 100 rotating weekly meals, including globally inspired flavors like Mediterranean and Asian, so there's always something new to look forward to. I use Factor. I think you're going to love it too. Head to factormeals.com/SB50off, stackers, and use code SB50off, and you're going to get 50% off and free daily greens per box with new subscriptions only while supplies last until 9/27/2026. Well, running a small business, as you may know, like I do, it is super fun, but it can also be very tough. And when it's time to get a loan, it can feel impossible to find the lender that you actually trust. Big banks say no. The internet, well, that's full of sketchy offers with sky-high rates and fine print you can barely read. Whether you need help covering payroll, managing cash flow, or investing in growth, you deserve better. And that's why I recommend the small business marketplace Fundera, which is powered by NerdWallet. It's a free, easy-to-use platform. It lets you compare real financing offers from trusted lenders, and it's all in one place. And what I like is that you don't need perfect credit to get started. There's no spam, there's no bait and switch, just personalized options that fit your business needs. Nothing I like better than a place that treats me the way that they would want to be treated. Using Fundera is a super way to quickly compare options and make your best funding move the way any great business owner would. Here's the best part, though. For a limited time, when you visit nerdwallet.com/SB and fill out the no obligation form, you're going to get VIP treatment and talk with a real person who knows all the ins and outs of small business lending. And you can tell them specifically what you're looking for. They can tell you specifically which options you should probably consider most. Don't risk your business on unreliable lenders. Go to nerdwallet.com/SB to learn more and find the funding you deserve. Fundera Inc. NMLS ID number 1240038.
Hello, darlings. And now it's time for your favorite part of the show, our Stacking Benjamin's headlines.
Well, if you've looked at the news lately, you've probably seen words like war, oil spikes, tariffs, inflation, basically all the stuff that makes your portfolio want to hide under the basement stairs here. But there's a recent piece, guys, from Michael Kitz's blog, and I really like what they've done here because of the fact that this blog is made for OG advisors like you, and it's addressed at advisors talking about how to help your clients get through the threat of geopolitical risk. And the big question in the piece, of course, is this different or is this just another chapter in this same story? Let's go through where we're at in the story lately. Markets had a strong 2025. We had this first pullback of 2026. Of course, OG, we've got headlines that drive fear, right? The conflict in Iran, oil spikes because of that, tariffs and policy uncertainty, inflation still feels sticky, markets react with some volatility.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play?
But it seems like, OG, I mean, we always have fairly high expectations, but because markets were so high in 2025 and have been so high fairly consistently the last several
24,
years.
23, 21.
Yeah, do you think
19,
number one
18.
is we parse through this? Do you think maybe it's time to reset our expectations to what the stock market really does, an average 10-year period, just versus what we've had lately?
Well, I think it's always important to recognize a few facts around investing. The first thing is volatility is totally normal. Volatility sounds like a scary word, so I'm going to just change it and say variability. And so if you think about the average return and say the S&P average is 10%, so I just put in 10% in my plan, that's fine. But we also know that the market rarely even lands within 2 percentage points of 10%. So it's rarely between 8 and 12. It's more extreme than that in terms of its variability. And what we find as investors is that we're really okay with variability that happens in our favor. But it's like, boy, I really like that variability when it's like plus 23. Those are really fun variability days. Just think about this logically. If you had a plus 23 day and you know the average is 10, we got to have a 0 to offset the plus 23 to get back to average 10, right? That should intuitively make a little bit of sense. Now, the reality is that it doesn't work that linearly. It's not like, oh, this year was up 20, next year is going to be 0 to even it out. That's not how it works. But you can string together some data points and like you said, well, 15 of the last 17 years, the market's been positive. So can I take that and assume it's going to be negative? No, but it wouldn't surprise me if it does. The second thing that I would think about in terms of variability is what's normal in terms of the ups and downs within a calendar year. And so if you look at like performance data and say, okay, the market averages 10%, and I can go back and say, well, what did it do in 23 and 22 and 21 and so on and so forth. And I can draw this chart all the way back to the 1900s, early 1900s of reliable, what did the market do? You'll see it's all over the place. But then if you look into each year individually and say, well, yeah, 1966, the market was up, but what did it do in the year? It didn't just go boom, boom. There weren't 2 data points, Jan 1, December 31. There was 270 data points. What we find in the in-between time is that sometime during the year, on average, the market's down 14% from the high watermark of that year. If I put those two things together, and that's the normal piece, that, hey, over time, we're going to average 10. If we strung together a bunch of pluses, maybe we have a negative. That would sound reasonable. And in between the times, those data points of Jan 1 and December 31, we're going to experience a minus 14 normally. That's a normal year. When we see things like, oh my gosh, the market's down 7%, what do we do? That shouldn't really, it shouldn't even be on the radar screen yet. Probably not even aware of it, honestly.
Yeah. Well, what strikes me as you're talking, OG, is that, if you're watching the chart, go down, even as normal as it is, even during times that you're reframing as normal, which it is, you're looking at what pros would call the technical analysis. Because when you're looking at charts and graphs, you're looking at just the technical stuff. And any pro will tell you that if you're, quote, trading or investing based on technical analysis, it's voodoo. It is voodoo because people believe it. The other type of analysis that we really want to focus on, I think, if we're investors, is the fundamentals. And fundamentals is the patient okay? Are markets performing the way that they should be? Is there something weird going on that shouldn't be going on? And certainly while we look at conflict and we look at some of the other things I said, underneath all that noise, OG, when you look at the fundamentals of the companies, the big companies most of our stackers are invested in, the fundamentals look pretty okay.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you want the people who want to run the companies to make you money, no matter what goes on in the market. And at any time, you could point to something that's chaotic. Right now, Middle East, oil, inflation, whatever. You can look at that and go, that's chaotic. 6 months ago, it was tariffs. 5 years ago, it was COVID and inflation, and people are dying left and right. Like, there's always something that is the phrase that I like, the apocalypse du jour. There's something that's ending everything as we know it. This time is different, whatever. But underneath all of that are people who run companies whose only goal it is to make money for their company.
And let's talk about how well they're doing, because there's lots of data right now, OG, that prove your point out that this year in some ways is better than last year. And let me tell you why. Now, definitely not on the short-term score sheet, but again, that's looking at the technical stuff. If you don't need the money right now, let's look at the broadening out. Corporate earnings still growing, median, above average. Bond yields finally meaningful again. We're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. You and Anna are going to talk about that, about why we really don't care about bond yields. Market leadership is broadening. And this is the thing. If you look at the stocks that won in 2025, it was mostly big AI-oriented tech, that even with the pullback beginning at the end of last year was the case. Well, now, OG, you look at the broadening out is something that we really want, I think, as investors. We don't want one sector winning. We want to have multiple sectors, many sectors. And so to see the market kind of broaden out where it's not just 1, 2, 5, 10 companies carrying the flag, that's a healthier market. So pullbacks are normal. This isn't a broken market. This feels like a much more regularly functioning market, maybe than even last year.
And when you look at effectively what's happening, the cycle of investing, and this is why you want to have a broad-based investment approach, not just the top performing companies from last year or something like that. Because again, just think about this logically. If NVIDIA has run up in terms of its stock price, what people are saying is that we're willing to spend a lot of money to own a piece of the future earnings of this company. We think the future earnings are worth it, even though it might take us 20 years to get paid back or 30 years to get paid back. That future number, that run rate is growing so fast that I want a piece of that. And it would make sense that eventually that number would top out. Like somebody would say, I'll pay you 20 years worth of earnings. I'll pay you 25. I'll pay you 30. I'm not going to pay you 31. Right? Eventually that caps out. Well, what's happening simultaneously? Other companies are saying, well, hold on. You can buy our earnings for 2. You can get paid back in 2 years, in 3 years, in 4 years. And so it just makes sense, again, if you look at this kind of piece by piece, to say, I understand why after something has gone up, people would say, that's great, but now I want to take my winning and, oh, look at this thing. This thing I can buy cheaply for whatever reason, because, it fell out of favor. That's the Wall Street answer. But I can buy this thing that's less expensive on a dollar earnings basis and be a part of that. The fact that it's not growing at the same rate of NVIDIA is okay because I'm buying it so cheap that any sort of growth on this is great. And even, I'm paid back in 2 years anyway. So who cares? Or 5 years or 10 years.
What have we seen over the last 10, 20, 50 years, OG? When an area of the market has underperformed for a while, that's where innovators then come in, right? If it stays low for a while, you've got these very smart people, to your point, these smart, greedy people going, you know what? I can bust this open. I can create something because I can buy these companies cheaply. I can get in and I can run this company for nothing. And all of a sudden, in this sleepy part of the market, do something that people have never done before.
Yeah. Well, and it's not only just, your S&P 500 stocks, but then you can broaden that to different areas of the economy, big companies versus small. Right now, we're seeing small companies do really well over, this period of time. But then it expands beyond that too. You look at different areas of the world in terms of economy. I was talking to a consultant the other day about some project that we're working on for our company. And I was interviewing this consultant, this management consultant, to hire them to do this project. And she said, if I were you, I would explore, and she used a phrase, and I think she said near coast. I want to say that that's the phrase she used, but I was like, I don't know what that means.
Near shore, probably.
Near shore. There you go. Thanks, Doug. Yep. And, because I'm not a consultant, you are. So I needed the consultant translation.
You need the lingo. That's half the job, is just having phrases that don't make any sense to anybody.
Any sense. Yeah. What we were talking about was hiring some virtual assistants, basically, in this area, some fractional assistants. And she said, have you considered nearshoring it? That's what she said, nearshore. And I go, I don't know what that means. She said, you can find people in other countries that have a different standard of living, different cost of living, and hire really great people for 50 cents, 70 cents on the dollar versus their counterpart who lives in Los Angeles. And I'd never explored that in my mind. It never dawned on me. And for the type of project that we're working on, it didn't matter that it was a US-based person. And I thought, my goodness, what a great opportunity for us, for me as a business owner, to say, okay, I can solve this problem for a lower cost to the overall company. That's good for shareholders. I can work with other people who are maybe a higher tier talent than what I can afford because they charge less money. But now take that little example of me and now expand that to all investing, the entire universe of time. Capital is always flowing to the most efficient output. And this happens at very big global trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of scale, where if there's a new regulation in the United States that makes drilling for oil more expensive than drilling for it in the Gulf of Mexico or whatever we call it now, guess what? Companies are going to drill for it in the Gulf of Mexico. They're not going to say, well, sorry, we got all this, we got to do it in Texas. They go, no, we're going to do it in the ocean. And when the ocean gets expensive, we'll do it in Texas again. And when Texas and the ocean are expensive, we're going to do it in, wherever.
It gets even more expensive. We'll put up more of those windmills that we see when you go out to West Texas. Well,
just, we don't care. Capital flows to the most efficient use of it on a big global scale. So when you're an investor, as you think about this, how do you kind of use this information? It's like, by being invested in diversified, broad-based type of stuff, you are capturing all of that movement all of the time. You don't have to guess. You don't have to be the guy or gal in charge of wait, is it time to sector rotate from tech to communications, from industrials to, pharmaceutical? No, it's doing it automatically for you. And you're getting all of that all of the time, which makes it super easy. Now sprinkle in some international and some small companies and emerging markets and god-awful fixed income if you have to have it. And all of that happens auto-magically, as they say.
You should say auto-magically TM.
TM.
I think that's an OG phrase.
Come at me, Disney.
Wouldn't it be awesome if Disney sued us for something like that?
Best thing that could ever happen to this show.
We would make so much hay on that deal. So to circle this back to where we began, to this geopolitical risk that people worry about, and rightly so right now. Geopolitical shocks. If we just go back and we look historically, OG, because I think this is what gets lost every time we got the new worry, is that we forget to go back and look at history. What's happened when this has happened before? Geopolitical shocks usually have these temporary market drivers, oil spikes that we have right now. Guess what's happened, OG, every time we've had an oil spike? Things happen and then the market recovers. The market adjusts to the spike. When we have wars, we have crises, we have a market that reacts and then it recovers. There has not been a time when we've had a conflict where the market hasn't recovered, because that's what markets do. So I feel like to some degree, it's because of the fact that we've got this worry machine in the palm of our hand that we can go and we can flick from one person worrying to I flick my thumb again, another person.
That was Doug's nickname in college.
Yeah, I think that was Doug's nickname. And that definitely is our phone. But look at the difference, OG. We sit, and how many times you've been around people like this? I was around somebody just a couple of days ago who was just spending time. I was watching them just flick their phone. And you know what, no matter what social media channel you have, you just, you watch a video for 10 seconds and there's another one. And every single one of those, if you want it to be, can be another reason why today's different.
Isn't the phrase you're the average of the 10 people you hang out with the most, or 5 people you hang out with the most? If one of those people is a crazy psychopath on TikTok, and it's an amalgamation of
good point.
Nonsense.
If you spend, if your 5 people are on TikTok because you spend more time with TikTok than anybody else.
That's a reality, right? Like,
right.
You are going to adopt this. That's how algorithms work. You go, I want to search for this, and they go, well, you might like this sort of stuff. And so now you get more of it. And it's this reinforcement of echo chamber of chaos. And everything, whether it's the news at 6:00, the newspaper that rarely do we get delivered to the house anymore, but is online or however you get it, magazines, TikTok, YouTube, every single solitary thing that you interact with has one purpose. And that purpose is to keep you in that platform for as long as possible. Because the more that you stay there, the more they can charge for advertising for your eyeballs later. It's very, very, very simple process. That's why on CNBC, they don't say at 8:00 on Monday morning, hey, everybody, the market's about to open. We don't really pay attention to the day-to-day market movements. You should rebalance hey, everybody, it's January 2nd. You should rebalance. Here's the annual report for the stock market. It was up 23% last year. We'll catch you all again January 2nd of 2027. Tune in then. That's why that doesn't happen.
Right.
Because that's not their job. Their job isn't to preach the good news. Their job is to preach chaos. So you want to stay. I'm even noticing this with AI tools. I'm very engaged with that. I love playing around with it and experimenting with all the different, ways to use this stuff. But I noticed on chat, probably within the last 4 months, 3 months maybe, every time I post something, gives you the answer, like what it thinks is the answer. And then it will say, if you want, I will tell you the 3 things that most people forget when cleaning their bicycle.
Right. It feels a lot more like clickbait.
1,000%. And I've said to it a million times, because, it learns from you, right? I'm like, please stop doing this. If it's relevant to the conversation, put it in the conversation. It goes, Roger that, boss. Absolutely. That's my name in chat, by the way, is boss. So
it did take that.
It learned that.
You were able to train it on that.
And then I'll go, I've got this problem with my bike. Like, how do I fix it? And it'll be like, okay, here's how you do it. If you want, I can show you the top 2 things that most bike people don't do. It's like, my God, you a-hole, stop doing this.
The top 5 scars people have gotten on their leg when their leg got messed up in the chain.
But think of it, like, what are they trying to do? They don't want me to go, you know what, I'm going to go ask Claude. I'm going to go dump this into Google instead, Gemini. They want you to stay on the platform forever. That's why there is no end to TikTok. You don't get to the end and they go, you've seen it all. Congratulations. Here's a star. Come back tomorrow. We'll show you more stuff. doesn't end. I don't want it to.
I think the way to wrap this up, Stackers, is don't confuse the headlines you see every day with strategy. News is short-term. Plans are long-term. Check your plan, not your phone. If your goals are the same, and I think that's probably, OG, the question to ask yourself. Are your goals still the same? If the answer is yes, likely no change. Your diversification is doing its job. We talked about leadership is rotating. The market doesn't have just one single leader now. It's broadening out, which is good. Volatility, and this, I think, OG, is my favorite thing that you said and continually say here. Volatility is not danger. It's the price of admission.
Yeah, that's the only trade. Because if you are only looking at this from a up and down standpoint, the variability, you said volatility, I'll say variability. Everybody wants no variability. If I got to design my investment account, how much risk do you want? Well, none, actually. But the interesting thing is reframing what the risk is. If you're investing for the long term, the biggest risk isn't volatility. The biggest risk is running out of money or having the purchasing power of your dollar decline such that you don't have enough money. The only way to offset purchasing power risk over a lifetime and then into a lifetime of retirement is by owning the things that actually cause or influence the actual inflation itself. You want to own the companies that do the inflating. That's all there is to it. Yeah, volatility is the deal.
Hold on a minute. If I've been following along correctly,
I doubt you have.
You're saying,
carry on.
Just give me the benefit of the doubt here. You're saying the world is complete chaos. Markets are wobbling and bumping along down the road like they got three wheels on them, but they're moving. And you're telling me, do nothing. Just sit back and chill, man. Just do nothing.
If I was branding something right now, I would see like, keep calm, carry on.
That is deeply unsatisfying, OG.
And incredibly effective.
That was Doug's nickname in college.
We will link to this in the show notes at stackingbenjamins.com, of course. We have a wonderful newsletter called The 201 where we dive deeply into topics like these with hot takes like do nothing. It's unsatisfying and the perfect thing to do. Coming up next, we say often here that you should own stocks. Why do we say own stocks? Anna and OG diving into that next. But first, get your pens ready because we're going to help you look cool with all your friends as you share with them the answer to today's trivia question.
Can't give them the answer until you've got a question. Hey there, Stackers. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and today is the anniversary of the Pony Express, which, kids, was not the name of a new fast food chain, although if it had been, you'd expect a 10-day delivery window and cold fries. Because on this date, the first delivery made it all the way from St. Joseph, Missouri to Sacramento in just 10 days. 10! Before that, getting something to the West Coast could take months, which means back then Amazon Prime was just called Amazon eventually. Now, while people think of the Pony Express with a sense of Old West romanticism, it was actually a financial disaster. In today's dollars, you'd pay hundreds of Benjamins to send a letter, which might explain why it only lasted, brace yourself, just over a year. That's right. The Pony Express had a shorter lifespan than most of Joe's New Year's fitness goals. Speaking of money, that feels a little unusual. On this date in 1973, the new $2 bill was released into circulation. So here's today's question. Whose face is on the $2 bill? I'll be back right after I go clean out the El Camino. It's $2 taco night at the Sizzler and Joe's mom is buying. We are backing the truck up on this deal. Hopefully, literally.
In business, there is no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. And when you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, The last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on, because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else, your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage. We mean business.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Did you know Fast Growing Trees is America's largest and most trusted online nursery with thousands of trees and plants and over 2 million happy customers? Whether you're planting fruit trees, adding privacy, brightening things up with flowers, or bringing in houseplants, Fast Growing Trees has it all. Even better, they can help you find options that are right for your climate, your space, and lifestyle. Click Order Grow. Every plant arrives healthy with the Alive and Thrive guarantee straight to your door. So if you're ready to get planting, this is the moment. Right now, they have great deals on spring planting essentials, up to half off on select plants. And listeners to our show get 20% off their first purchase when using the code WWO at checkout. That's an additional 20% off. Better plants and better growing at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code WWO at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code WWO. Now's the perfect time to plant. Let's grow together. Use WWO to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions apply. Go to growingfasttrees.com for details.
Hey there, stackers. I'm taco enthusiast and now apparently guy riding shotgun to the Sizzler with Joe's mom's neighbor Doug. Quick update. Joe's mom is not paying for $2 tacos. She generously offered to drive me so I could pay for my own tacos, which, given gas prices and the El Camino's relationship with fuel efficiency, I think means I'm way getting the better end of this deal. Anyway, big day in history. The Pony Express wraps up its greatest hits tour in about a year, and the modern $2 bill hits the scene. Our question, whose face is on it? $2 bill, not the Pony Express thing. While older versions featured a few different people, including George Washington, the current $2 bill features our old buddy, TJ, Thomas Jefferson. And now, two people who deliver financial guidance faster than the Pony Express, and today, for significantly less than a few hundred Benjamins, it's OG and CFP Anna Allem.
Okay, Anna, so we've been teeing this up for a little bit. Today's the fun day out of the cycle. Today's the day we get to talk about investing.
Yep, the most exciting of the topics.
You can't do investing. You can't invest unless you have everything else laid out correctly first, right?
No, just ignore this if you haven't started with the first one.
Yeah, go back and start. So today, 3 buckets for your investing. We call it foundation, bridge, engine. You can call it whatever you want. Bucket 1, bucket 2, bucket 3. Lay out your, get out your piece of paper, get out your note card, There you go. 3 buckets. Let's talk about each one of these. Anna, give us the layout of the first bucket, if you will.
Okay, bucket number 1 is your foundation. We already went through this with the emergency fund. Essentially, emergency fund or any other expenses that you have coming up in the next 1 to 2 years, I would say.
And the whole purpose of building out this emergency fund is it acts as a buffer against the volatility of the third bucket, your growth engine bucket, right? At the end of the day, you can't be all equities. You can't have all your money in stock and be okay with a 20 or 30% pullback if you don't have the supporting cast, as it were, the supporting cast of cash that give you the opportunity to still spend and live your life. That's the whole purpose of building out that, that foundational cash piece first.
Next part, bridge.
Yeah.
You kind of alluded already to the fourth bucket, the engine, which is the investment. The bridge is the middle piece where you might have some goals that you know about, like you need to buy a car, but it's still 2 years out. You just know it's coming at some point. Or even the house, anything that could be coming down the line. You want to get new windows, anything that's like a big purchase.
It's so fun. Let's
so
get new
much
windows.
Fun. I just know windows cost a lot.
Honestly, I've thought about that. I'm like, we could stand to get some new windows around here. Tell me you're middle age without telling me you're middle age when you get all excited for new windows.
New windows. So that's that middle piece.
Yeah, this kind of lines up with some of our other thinking as it relates to other intermediate term goals, let's say. Like, for example, in 529 plans, and maybe we'll talk about college funding at some point in time, but in 529 plans, what we suggest is in your freshman year of high school, you take your freshman year of college 529 money and move it to something safe and secure, the money market fund, the bond fund, the treasuries, whatever is, just there, because it takes away that sequence of returns risk, the risk that the market's going to go down the day before you actually need the money. And so you're taking away some growth opportunities, but you're also locking in your goal attainment. And at the end of the day, the only thing we care about is getting to your goal, like
it's not worth risking it by keeping it invested up until the day that you need it, because you never know where the market is going to be at that point. And you don't want to be worrying about that on a day-to-day basis.
If the goal is flexible, if you're like, hey, at some time in the future, I'm going to need a new car, or we really want to buy a lake house, but we don't have the time frame, well, then fine, keep it invested long term. But as soon as you start locking in some time frames, we build out retirement or cash flow plans for clients. Sometimes they'll say, hey, every 7 years, historically, we've bought a new car for the family. Like, put that in the plan. We can. That's totally fine, because the time frame. That money's not going to be in your emerging market value fund. It's got to be in something that's a little bit more secure, because we've got a known goal and a known time frame. So once it kind of breaches that 5-year number, let's get it something safe and secure. Doesn't have to be cash, can be short-term fixed income, can be treasuries. There's lots of different options there. And then our last bucket. This is the fun one.
The engine,
vroom, vroom.
What drives all your growth, where your long-term goals are invested in. Typically going to be in a diversified portfolio. So hopefully not as volatile as just like the regular market and or individual stocks. Like, we are still diversified, but this is where you're going to get primarily your growth from. This is where you're getting your retirement assets, or even if you're in retirement, just your longer term retirement assets. When you're retired, you might be retired for 30, 40 years. So we need to still have a lot in the engine bucket so that it can sustain you for that long period of time.
So do you think, as we're just kind of piecing this out, do you think that we need 2 years of cash, 5 years of whatever treasuries, and then are we building this kind of sequentially? If I'm just getting started, am I building up all of my cash first, then building up 5 more years, then building up everything else? How do we think about that?
This isn't really expense based. This is more so goal based. We want, if you're working, we already talked about the emergency fund. You should at this point know what that multiplier is, what that number is going to be. So that's what it's in that first foundation cash bucket. That middle term bucket is only there for those shorter term goals. It's not necessarily there to fund any sort of expenses for 5 years. It's just for anything, any goals that fit into that bucket. So when we're tying this back to the homework piece of this, where we have these different columns or these different buckets, whatever you want to look at the lens through, it's not necessarily that we're asking you to put your assets into each category. Yes, that's part of it. So know how much cash you have in figuring out that emergency fund. Know what you have in that short bridge bucket, and know what you have in that longer term engine bucket. But it's also tying the goals to those. So how far out are we from that car purchase or the house purchase or the window purchase, as Josh and I are getting new windows? And knowing where you stand generally with retirement. Are we 7 years out from there plus? Then all those assets should be in the engine bucket. So it's not just figuring out what assets go into each category, but also where those goals land for you and updating that as you see fit so that the assets are being tied to where those goals are.
Yeah. Ultimately, when you tie your money to a specific outcome or tie your money to a specific goal, it becomes a lot easier to see where it's supposed to be. And it's a lot easier to tolerate whatever is going to happen. You know, if you're looking at your retirement account and you're like, I'm 40 and retirement's 20 years away, and it goes up and down, you know, percentage points a week because of, you know, whatever's happening politically or globally or whatever, that's a way easier thing to stomach than if your kid goes to college in August and it's still in stock and it's going down 2, 3, 4, 7% for the quarter. And you're like, oh crap, I gotta break this check. The time to have that money safe and secure was 5 years ago. And you take a little bit of growth off the table, potentially, but you're gaining the goal attainment piece because you go, this is when I need to write the check. It's August of 2026. I absolutely need to have 15 grand in the 529 ready to write a check for that semester's tuition. So I think this is a great way to think about this goals-based investment planning. A couple of things for us before we kick it back to Joe. We created a scorecard for this. You can score yourself on this plus a bunch of other different categories. Get your score immediately. It's stackingbenjamins.com/scorecard. You get your number and then some feedback about that. And then the other thing that I wanted to send out to everybody is, so we have 2 more of these coming that we are done with this season, and then we go to our 1-week break. Anna and I are building out our kind of, I would say our itinerary. That's not right. Agenda, course guide. I don't know. What do you want to say? We're building out the next 8 weeks. How's that? Trying to figure out what you guys want to talk about. So I have an idea of what we should talk about, but I want to hear from listeners what's kind of top of mind for everybody. So if you want to tell us what you want us to cover in these segments in the next season, send me an email. It's og@stackingbenjamins.com. Just, hey, cover this. We're going to compile all of it. We'll try to put it together in 2 weeks. We're going to start writing those shows in probably 2-ish weeks from now. So over the next couple of weeks, if it's interesting to you to vote on what you want us to cover, just send me an email, og@stackingbenjamins.com. Okay, Anna, adios. Let's kick it back to Joe.
Thanks, OG.
This is Chris from Heavy Metal Money. When I'm not raging in a mosh pit, I'm stacking Benjamins.
Thanks to Anna for hanging out with us again on a Monday. OG, nice work. Let's journey out on the back porch here, and we've got a lot going on in the Stacking Benjamins community. If you're new here, join our Facebook group because there's a lot that goes on there. stackingbenjamins.com/basement is the quick way to get there. It's a little longer URL, or just put in the search in Facebook, Stacking Benjamins Basement. Also, if you're on our mailing list for the 201, that'll make sure that when we come to your area, which I've got some more traveling coming up, guys. If we come to your area, we can maybe hang out in person and have a foamy beverage or a non-foamy beverage together. But speaking of stackers getting together, we got a brand new group of stackers getting together for the very first. They've had a meeting already, Doug, but this is the first official Benjamins After Dark meeting.
It was sort of like a market test meeting they had before, and they realized that the demand was real. And so now, on the most auspicious day of the year, April 15th, from 6 to 7 at the Catalina Brewing Company, the Tucson Bad Group is getting together to, as Joe would say, assuage all of their tax woes and drink away their woes, but also get together and talk about financial.
Is it pronounced
finance?
Assuage?
Assuage. I think that's how that's sophisticated.
Doug, I think the topic is a little off. We've already established that April 15th is Justin's birthday.
Oh, they're celebrating Justin's birthday.
I can only assume they'd be celebrating his birthday, as will all Americans, as they do every single year, with a donation in his honor to the United States Treasury.
Joe, do you feel like OG lost a bet to his brother Justin and is required to say this like 11 times on this episode?
Something happened.
Well, I feel like I've thrown so much shade at Steak Brother that it's time to bring the other brother into the equation for the next 20 years.
So he can clearly differentiate between the brother he likes and the brother, well, maybe.
Tax day brother.
Wait till I get to my sister, everybody. That's where it gets real sporty. Speaking of, oh my God, today is my sister's birthday.
As we record this?
Yes.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, no. It's as of the Monday. I didn't even think about that.
That's so funny. As of the day
She's
it comes
the 13th.
Out.
Yeah, she's a 13th.
That's great.
Happy birthday, sister.
On her birthday,
forgot all about
we're
that.
saying happy birthday to the others. What's the biggest way to say screw you to a sibling? Say happy future birthday to a different sibling.
On that sibling's birthday. That is awesome. That is peak OG moment right there, everybody.
Wide open, gushing chest wound, and OG is pouring salt, all of it in there.
Oh, man. That's great. That is fantastic.
But you know, the Tucson Stackers are waiting for you to come down and do the breakfast burrito meeting.
Yeah, I want to make that happen. I really genuinely do. I'm just paying you lip service. I really want to come down there and meet with you guys and have 2 or 3 breakfast burritos and then just sit there saying I ate too much.
I want to say a big thank you to Jay Davis, who's the head of personal finance and entrepreneur relationships for Texas A&M Texarkana. When I went to him and said, hey, let's see if we can bring these different voices to our town, the fact that he said yes and got our local Red River Federal Credit Union to underwrite that so we could do it was just amazing. We had our first event last week with Paula Pant. And guys, I sent you stuff we did a little kind of VIP party the night before with leaders from the city and some of the community leaders in the city from different groups and some of the amazing students who they represented the university so well. I couldn't be more proud of just the kids there. The questions they asked Paula about how she created her brand, what she did, the questions you're going to hear on Friday, the actual show that we recorded live. So that's coming up at the end of this week. But big thanks to Jay Davis, big thanks to Red River Credit Union. And guys, I can't wait till we do the full party of the Stacking Benjamin show there when it's the 3 of us with Jay, because Jay's assured us that this partnership, we're going to try to do this every quarter. So we can bring the full party to Texarkana and have a really good time. But great for our little town. The last thing I had for our whole community, if you get the guides, we have these guides to your college planning, to taxes, to your human resources. We update them every month. Check your spam if you didn't get an email from me, because we've updated all 3 of the guides last week. And go in, grab those, grab the new versions. Every single month we update them. We keep up so you don't have to. You pay for it one time. We update them forever. stackingbenjamins.com/guides. If you don't get the guides and you need help in those areas, we're happy to help and to make sure that it's a useful reference whenever you're doing your taxes this week, or you're celebrating Justin's birthday this week and trying to make your donation for Justin's birthday, or it's open enrollment, whatever it might be. stackingbenjamins.com/guides. And of course, a reminder, OG said this already, but to get your scorecard on how you're doing with your money, stackingbenjamins.com/scorecard. All right. I think, guys, that puts a pin in it today. Wednesday, one of OG's favorites and now one of my favorite writers on getting more. You know, the reason you want more Benjamins is because you want to have your best possible life. The coach to so many professionals and top athletes, Jim Murphy, joins us on Wednesday. If you've never heard Jim Murphy, I think it's a can't miss episode. All right, Doug, speaking of things we don't want to miss, we want to make sure we got our to-do list in order. What are the 3 things that were the biggest takeaways from today?
Well, Joe, first, take some advice from our headline. Times of geopolitical risk, that's the worst time to make moves in your portfolio. As I said earlier, while that's deeply unsatisfying, it's 100% the right thing to do. Second, it's the right thing to do because stocks perform better if you leave them alone for the long term. Even though indexes rise, some investors still lose because either they're in the wrong investment or because they're too busy buying and selling to let the markets work their magic. But the big lesson? If you're going to ride with us over to the Sizzler, do not ask Joe's mom her favorite joke. I think she may need to wash her mouth out with soap again. Man, woman's salty. Coming Wednesday, wonder what all this Benjamin stacking is about? More living, right? I'm excited because the man behind the New York Times best-selling Inner Excellence joins us to share how to live our best lives, Jim Murphy. This show is the property of SB Podcast, LLC, copyright 2026, and is created by Joe Saul-Sehy. You'll find out about our awesome team at stackingbenjamins.com, along with the show notes and how you can find us on YouTube and all the usual social media spots. Come say hello. And oh yeah, before I go, not only should you not take advice from these nerds, don't take advice from people you don't know. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial decisions, speak with a real financial advisor. I'm Joe's mom's neighbor, Doug, and we'll see you next time back here at the Stacking Benjamin Show.
Guys, it has been a long time since I've seen a blockbuster movie that really was more than just 3/4 good. I think Formula One was pretty good. Like Formula One was a blockbuster movie where I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I like that. A little formulaic, but such a fun movie. But I got to tell you guys, finally made it to see Project Hail Mary last week. That's a blockbuster that was deeply satisfying.
Wow.
Like very, very.
Ryan Gosling, maybe?
Ryan Gosling. He talks to himself most of the time. And so it's Ryan Gosling on screen and it is so good. Of course, it's based on the Andy Weir book, which was which was a bestseller. But if you like The Martian, he also wrote The Martian.
Oh,
and I want to bring that up because The Martian, if you like The Martian, this is, while it's different than The Martian because it's the same author, you're going to love this movie as well. So I don't know. OG, did you see The Martian?
Yeah. And regarding this movie, my kid went and saw it. He said, other than going too late in the evening, he went to the 10 o'clock show, which made him very tired. He said it was friggin' awesome.
Wow.
He said the music was great. The storyline was great. He loved every second.
Yeah. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes, I think, OG. So you're right. He's getting home late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was very excited to see Hollywood do something this good as a movie that's made for wide audiences, because it's been a long time since.
So is it part of the, help me understand, is it part of like the Marvel universe or the
right,
DC
exactly.
Like which one? Because they don't make movies anymore that aren't part of one of those metaverses. So which
maybe
one
that's what was refreshing, Doug. Yeah. But leading up to it, the good news is we had previews for the new Spider-Man movie.
Oh yeah.
And the new Star Wars movie.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Because we got to get this thing back on rails again.
Right.
OG, what's going on in your world?
You know, last week, guys, there's a little space project that happened. Obviously, you went and saw the movie. I thought the best thing that I saw about all the space stuff, which was super inspiring, watching the rocket take off and, you know, Lord willing, everything's still good. We're recording this a little bit early. They've already turned back toward Earth, so hopefully everything happens according to plan. But they interviewed on CNN. Did you guys catch this, the CNN interview?
No.
You know, there's a ton of people down at Kennedy Space Center for this. So they capture one young, enthusiastic space viewer. This kid's probably 12.
Oh.
And they're like, hey, so what is, you know, like, why are you here, basically? Like, what's the vibe? And they interviewed this guy, and I thought he had a pretty good response to the question from CNN.
Why do you want to be here? Why do you love space? Why do you love being a part of history?
We're going back to the moon, that's why.
On behalf of the men and women in Mom's Basement, making basement. Making babies. Yeah. Cut that, Steve. 3, 2, 1.
The word is curriculum.
Curriculum. How about that?
OG, Doug and I going to tackle geopolitical risk and your money. Geo Taco.
You just made me feel a little better. Thanks for stumbling there.